Council meeting, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of
of the United States of America, and to the republic
which is
for which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God, indivisible, with liberty, justice for all.
Never seems smooth.
It's the hardest thing to do.
Yeah, it's just one thing that doesn't work on Zoom. All right, so at this point, we'll have personal appeals part 1. Shane will unmute our virtual guests. And if you have a appeal to make, please state your name and your address, and you have 5 minutes for your appeal, and we'll do one at a time. But somebody needs to speak up first.
And we're gonna ask that each one gives us their name, address, and they go on video.
Oh, and please go on video. You'll have to click the little box where the video camera is with the cross on the X on it. So undo it.
This is Jesse and Don O'Donnell. We would like to speak.
Hold
I
on,
can't turn on my video though. It won't let me.
hold on just a second, Jesse. I will. There you go. You should be able to hit OK. Yep.
Okay. Our address is 1312 Pennsylvania Avenue. I hope at this point that all of the council members and staff have been able to view the email and the file that I sent yesterday. Our concern is obviously the retention basin and the gate behind our home. What came down the hill on November 30th was probably twice as much that came down the hill during the night that the high school flooded. Okay, and that was probably maybe only a quarter more that has come down the hill on several other occasions. This last time was the mud, which presented a whole other issue. This time, this particular storm cost us right off the bat $2,000 out of our pocket due to damages, lost time from work. We now have to replace the windows in the basement because they are now broken because there was 12 inches of water hitting the side of my home. Luckily, a nice benefactor replaced my kiln that had been filled with mud because, you know, we've protected it by putting it up on a 4-inch pad, but never protected it from, you know, mud flying in the window from above because there really should never be water on the south side of our home. This has been going on since that gate has been installed in 1988. The owner at the time was a little old woman who tried her hardest. My neighbor, who has retired from Emmaus Borough as a public works employee, and nobody wanted to believe them as to what happened when this gate blocks. So we did our due diligence when we bought the home. We didn't buy near a natural water course in any way, shape, or form. Knowing that the borough owned this, they have their their Act 167 plan, all the stormwater ordinances and state laws say you can't concentrate stormwater and deflect it onto a neighboring property without an easement. We were not told, like in my letter, that, you know, it was a problem until we moved in. At that point, it was too late to go after, so we've done all the steps that we could. It is to a point now where, do I believe that the new retention basins in the back may hold the proper water? Yeah. Our dilemma remains the gate. The borough has been good after several pushes about fixing the pipe, the outlet pipe in the retention basin, about putting the retention basin back to where it should hold water and flow out of the outlet like it should. So we are almost there, okay? But I keep being told that there's nothing we can do about the gate, and yet I can come up with 4 or 5 options to do about the gate. And I keep being told that the reason why we can't do anything is because of safety factors. So the dilemma is, it is a dry basin. I realize the gate has to be there, but somehow this needs to be fixed because we can't keep taking water down our driveway, because we have tried to protect our home and routed all the stormwater that comes down the driveway, which doesn't settle into the groundwater and then come into my basement that way. Okay. But we have now have to $1,000 worth of windows that we need to replace now because they're broken. 2 days lost work because we obviously, neither of us could go to work the next day because we literally had to wash down our entire basement from the silt and debris that had come in. Had to clean up the yard, had to pick up the trash. You know, we had to rake everything back. We had to put our driveway back in order so we could get in and out because it had at one point from the water coming down the side of the house and deflecting out to the driveway, you know, washed it out about 8 inches. Okay. We don't know what to do other than to get angry. And I was spitting nails mad when I pulled up the driveway and my car was covered in muddy water. My first thought, and please put yourself in my position, my first thought was this water is coming Niagara Falls style down our front steps. So I'm thinking that my basement is filled up to the first floor. My dogs are in here, the, you know, electric panels in the basement, that I'm coming in, you know, my first reaction is to go see what's going on, which probably was silly thinking about it because I could have come in and literally electrocuted myself. It can't continue to happen. And if there truly is no fix, then you have to make it right. Because when it was just this Arch Street townhouses, when the gate blocked, we had from gate block till about 30 minutes after the rain stopped. And if the gate was blocked and we couldn't get home or we were out of town, then that amount of water came into the yard. Now, with the retention basin in the back and the amount of water that's being allowed to travel overland to this retention basin to go down to the storm water, when this gate blocks, we will not only have from gate block to 30 minutes after, we will have until that back basin is empty, flowing into our yard. So not only did it cost us $1,000 worth of windows, 2 days lost work, a whole day of hard labor to literally sandbag that side of the house so we can keep the water out of our home, because this is going to happen again, because it's only under construction up there. So it's going to be at least a year, if not 2 or 3, until it's finally totally stabilized. Okay, we have a whole slew of homeowners who don't take care of the swale. So now we have all this. So now we've ordered more cameras so we can keep an eye on the water. I have flood sensors coming because we like to travel. We have children that don't live here that we would like to go visit. But at this point, I can't trust that my neighbors, right now my neighbors were home because of COVID restrictions. If my neighbors wouldn't have been home, it would have been maybe a few hours until somebody actually reported the flooding in Pennsylvania Avenue or until I got home from work. We need some sort of resolution, something. And if we can't make it right, then we want a contract for the borough to purchase our home if it can't be made right. If what Shane is telling me that he has spoken to the engineer and that there is not an option, that there's no fix for this. And if that's the case, you know, then something has got to be done. We would like, our ultimate goal is truly just to have a fix for up there. Maintain the value of our home. We have a beautiful home in the borough of Emmaus that we should be able, that really should just keep going up in value. But every time this happens, it infiltrates into our foundation. It literally hits my kitchen wall, and my kitchen does not have a basement under it. So it fills up that foundation and then leaks into the basement. When it comes over my little garden edge, it runs right down into my back porch and right down the exterior outlet into my basement. The south side of my home should never, never, ever have 12 inches of water against it. We have replaced the window wells. We have made sure there is no rainwater infiltration. When we had other issues when the trees were out front, if anybody remembers my house, and there was 65-foot spruce trees that have unfortunately since died and we've had to remove. We've lived here for 12 years. We have been in the borough of Emmaus for 28. We are volunteers here. I apologize that day that I was spitting mad that the F word was flying, because I feel like we got so far, and I feel like the last time I met Jeff Ott and Shane at the basin, which took me freaking 10 years to get somebody to come out here and talk to me, okay? That we had a plan and they did a lot of work, but I had to push for the work to get done. And it seemed like we were moving in the right direction. And then the plan was to make the gate not usable. Okay, so we could keep it at a certain height, so maybe things could flow underneath of it more, and not get blacked up, to actually maintain the basin from another gate put on the side. Public Works went as far as to cut down the arborvitaes, but never put in the gate. So as a borough with multiple parks, you can't tell me that there wasn't a gate they could have scabbed in. In the picture that shows the police officer and Brent Reed and his partner literally in water, knee deep, trying their hardest to open it. It wasn't like they could just come and unlock the gate and open it up and let the water flow in. They literally took all their might, pushing and pulling on that gate to get it open because there was so much stuff jammed underneath of it. That this isn't something I could have even done by myself if I would have gotten home. And I've been known to carry a rake in the car and come home when these storms happen to try and protect my property. We can't do this anymore. And our best resolution is just to have cooperation and some sort of resolution so we can fix this, or for the Borough Council to make it right, because this isn't going away. So if we can't have the gate fixed, then the option is to buy my property, because now it's just a big old stormwater basin anyway. Okay, but in a pandemic, we can't go anywhere and there's nothing for sale. So really, if you can come up with a fix for it, we would like help fixing our driveway, because it has taken 12 years of stormwater running down it to a point now where this last storm literally popped the layers of macadam apart. So it just needs to be torn up, and it needs to have a solution where the water can run out of it. So the turf block solution would be perfect. I need to have a retaining wall that blocks two sides higher than what I had. So that way, when it comes down again, it can at least run down the driveway and not into my home. Okay, we need help, because this is something that Paul Gurman, when he built the house in 1952, didn't create for himself. He did not sell the parcel in the back for a development. That was somebody else. It was the borough who allowed the stormwater, who approved the stormwater, who has maintained or not maintained this as it's been. And now we have more. Okay, and really in August, when we had that 7-inch rainstorm, the basin worked appropriately. All the repairs through the pipe, through the basin clean out, worked appropriately. Okay, but the basin can't work appropriately if the water can't get through the gate to get there. You've all seen the pictures. I don't know what else to say other than we need some help fixing this. We need some help protecting our home, and we need that gate fixed. So now it's up to council to decide what is the best appropriate action. But there needs to be some action. Thank you.
Mr. and Mrs. O'Donnell, first of all, I read your letter. I looked at your photos and every communication that you sent the borough with regard to the flooding. And I'm so sorry that you have to go through this. Nobody should have to go through this, and it's not something that's pleasant. And I would be just as angry as you are. It has been referred to our solicitor. Our solicitor will be handling it. And also, I believe, Shane, I saw that it looked like you wanted to respond to something. So I don't know if you or not.
I'm not gonna bother. I'm not gonna get into an argument in a public meeting. But I do appreciate it. I understand her issue. I have never said that there's nothing we can do. I did not say that. What I did say is I don't know what we can do to make this right. And that is the truth. But I've never said there's nothing that we can do. But that's all I'm going to respond, because at this point, I do think that it's a litigation issue, as that's been threatened.
That is why it has been referred to our solicitor.
Right. If I may, Mr. President, I'm aware of it. I've read everything as well. She has our attention. They have our attention. It's going back to the engineer. It's going to our insurance company. We have to work through the Municipal Tort Claims Act, the Stormwater Management Act. We will try in any which way we can to resolve this matter, but we cannot, eminent domain does not apply. But give us a chance now that that she has our attention, give us a chance to try to remedy the problem. And we will work through the system. That's all I can ask. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. and Mrs. O'Donnell. I guess we go from here now, I guess.
That's fine. What I'd like to know is when we will hear as we work through the system. Do I need to actually file that against my own community, or can we work through this without that?
Mr. Solicitor, you have an answer?
The answer to that is that I cannot tell you how long it will take, but I can tell you you have our attention and that we are working on it. I do not want to tell you what to do from a legal standpoint. I think that would be inappropriate. But I will tell you this, that if you give us a chance, we may be able to resolve this.
So Jesse, I am on Public Works. If you would like to come to our Public Works meeting, it is a Zoom, and ask for an update, I think that's appropriate. The next one is not until later in January, of course, but if you would like to ask for an update during that, I think that would be an appropriate time.
That's fine. I will be there.
All
I
right.
hate having to be this person. I apologize to everybody, but at this point, we don't know what else to do. I've been told for 10 years, nobody's wanted to believe that this happens to this extent. And we need to get through this quickly. I can't continue to pay money over and over again to clean up my property when this happens.
We understand.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for your appeal. Are there any other public appeals at this time? Are they unmuted, the other people, Shane?
I hit an unmute all, but I'll do it again.
Okay, so if anyone else has a public appeal at this is the time for you to state your name, your address, and what your appeal is. All right, hearing none, I'll give Shane a moment to.
Yeah, I'm going to mute everyone again and then unmute you.
John, you have to unmute yourself. There you go. And Shanna. All right, looks like all council is unmuted. All right, next on the agenda is a community minute. Does anybody on council have anything to bring forward with regard to community minute?
If I can just throw something out there, Brett, I'm sorry. Just with the closure of our local restaurants, if anyone has time, a lot of them are offering takeout and curbside pickup. Support them as best as you can. I know many of them are struggling, so if you're in town or if you buy a gift card or something in any way you can support them, I think it would be awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, it is the season, and it's nice time for them, wondering if they're going to survive or not. So yes, that's a nice thought there, Roy. There is no special presentation tonight. We have the reading of the minutes of December 7th, 2020. If anyone would like to make a motion to approve those minutes. Councilman Hart, seconded by Councilman Dufresne. Any questions or additions on those minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes. We have no decisions on bids. On communications, we received a letter from Upper Milford requesting a street sign at an intersection on one of our streets that borders Upper Milford. I will forward that to the safety committee. We received a letter from Hanover Engineering on their professional fee schedule for 2021. Shane, as far as I could tell from reading that, nothing's changed.
Yeah, I'm not sure. We'll just we'll review that for
Okay.
for council in January.
It sounds like the regular rate didn't change, but they had a whole page there, but they didn't mention if those were not changed or not. So that's the reason I asked. All right. We have a letter from Jennifer Marcharski applying for the Emmaus General Authority. The General Administration Committee interviewed her at 6:30 this evening. There was a 3-0 recommendation to approve her. And would somebody like to make a motion? The term is till January 1st of 2025. So if somebody would like to make a motion to approve her to the general authority. A motion by Councilman Dufresne, seconded by Councilwoman Baumgartner. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes. We received a letter from a Ashland Bean for the Joint Environmental Advisory Council. And I believe she was interviewed by, what committee was that interviewed her, Shane, tonight?
Health, sanitation, and codes.
Okay, and was there a recommendation? Oh, who's chairman of the codes committee?
Mr. President, I am.
Chairman Balliet, would you like to just, you interviewed her tonight, I think at 6:45.
Yep.
Do you want to just throw a motion out there and then just tell us about your candidate?
Yeah, so Ashland Bean interviewed. Well, she also had a great resume. She's got a fairly extensive environmental college background, and I'd like to make a motion to appoint Ashland to the Joint Environment Advisory Council with a term expiring March 7th of 2024.
There's a motion by Councilman Balliet, seconded by Councilman Hart. Any questions or discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes. Thank you, Chairman Balliet.
Thank you.
We also received a letter from William Kennedy for cost of living adjustment for retired officers, and we will refer that to the general administration, Shane?
Well, I mean, it could go to, listen, we could
Pension
go,
board?
yeah, we can go around the circle on this one if you want to, but
I mean, it goes to pension board, then it goes to council. But everybody knows the history of it. Well, most people know the history of this, that the money is just not there for.
well, your police pension MMO is through the roof. So this is only going to add to it.
Yes. So
So we can go through the motions if you want. If
I
that,
mean-
if you think that's going to influence the decision or have you reconsider, but if not, don't waste anybody's time. Just
no, but I think council, they deserve an official vote from council. If
absolutely. Absolutely.
Is there anyone on council that would like to make a motion to deny the request? This is something we've been doing every year because the money that we keep putting in, sometimes up to, I mean, what was the most we put in over the years, Shane? Up to $1 million almost?
Yeah, it's climbing again. So, yeah, we can send it over to the pension board and have them make the recommendation for you to approve it, and it'll come back to you.
Yeah, and even with the recommendation, if they make a motion to approve it, it's still council's final decision.
Right.
Are we doing anything incorrectly if we make a motion here?
No.
And I would make a motion to deny cost of living increase for the police pension program.
I'll
Motion
second.
by Councilman Dufresne, seconded by Councilman Hart. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes. That's it for communications. Does anybody else have a communication to bring forward? I do believe we all received a letter from Mrs. O'Donnell, and
That was
Probably should-
yeah.
probably should enter that into the record. With that being said, there's no, oh yeah, we do have a borough engineer. Borough engineers report. Mr. Ott?
Good evening, everyone. I don't have a formal report, but I am here if anyone has any questions. And in case you drove down South 2nd Street today, you may have noticed we moved in.
Excellent.
So we are
Congratulations.
very, very excited to be back in the borough.
The building looks great.
Yes, thank you. I can't wait to show off the inside. It looks really great.
Are you having an official ribbon cutting at some point?
I think down the line, Mr. President, it's been such a whirlwind this year. It's been, I haven't really had a chance to plan, and the Lehigh Valley Chamber of Commerce does call me. And I just keep telling them, call me in 3 months when I can catch my breath. So
All right.
I would think we're working out the kinks right now in the building. We have the security system in, the fob. We have a really cool fob system to open doors, and camera systems are all in place. So we're getting this thing tweaked out, and I would think in another couple months we'll be able to show it off, as long as I can bring people safely through.
Spring sounds nice.
I think so.
All right. Well, congratulations.
Yes, thanks. And just another quick note. You may have noticed we did some work at Community Park on Library Creek. I don't want to go into too many details there, but I have photographic evidence of the damage that was done to that stream as part of Isaias. It was really catastrophic. And I would like to just let council know the Public Works Department did a very nice job in cleaning up the mess there and getting that stream stabilized. And I will be meeting with the Conservation District in the spring for what I've started to call phase 2 of that stream rehabilitation, which will be to work with the district to get some grants for further enhancements.
Like replanting.
Yeah.
Just so you know, Mr. Ott, we've heard nothing but compliments on that whole program, other than the people concerned with the cutting of the trees, which had to be done to have the project completed. So anybody else have any comments or questions for Mr. Ott? All right, thank you, Jeff. Appreciate it. Solicitor's report.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just want to update you all on the Verizon agreement. We are working on it. Now that we have the aesthetic ordinance, it should go together fairly quickly. In fact, I was in touch with the Verizon people today. I'm looking forward to trying to wrap it up early next year. That means before like the second week in January. They are eager to give you 5G, and I'm eager to see that you get it. I know this has been a difficult year, and it's really been a pleasure to work with you during such a difficult time, and I wanted you to know that, and ultimately to tell you have a great holiday and Merry Christmas. And with that, I report progress.
Thank you very much. Unfinished business part 1, we have nothing. Under new business, we have an ordinance 1210, an ordinance amending chapter 15, part 4, subsection 405 2 of the Borough of Emmaus Consolidated Code of Ordinances to prohibit parking of trailers without attached motive power on borough-owned property. This is our first reading, and I would imagine our second reading would be, Shane, would it be the first meeting in February or second meeting in January?
It'll be the second meeting of January. So January 21st. No, I'm sorry, January 18th.
Thank you. I can give you a little background on this. When we bought the VFW, we also purchased all the parking along the railroad track on Jubilee. And some of the residents have taken advantage of it by parking trailers on there that just sit there, and they're using it as their own storage place. So the only way we could address it is that by actually passing an ordinance saying that they're not allowed to do that. Now, we already have that ordinance on regular streets, but not borough-owned parking lots or property. So that is the difference. We did have several discussions and debates to make sure we had all the proper things that needed to be in there. And with that being said, would somebody like to make a motion to approve ordinance 1210? Councilman Dufresne, seconded by Councilman Anders. Any discussion? Everybody looks so excited tonight.
Hey, Brad, I do have a question though.
Okay.
So it says without attached motive power.
So if you read the ordinance, it does also address, I believe, Shane, if I'm correct, like RVs. Like they can't.
Yeah, there's more.
It goes to our, let me just quick say this, Shane. It does go to our ordinance of parking on a regular street that you can't be at the same spot for 72 hours. So they can have it there for 72 hours, but once they're over 72 hours, that's when they can get ticketed.
So it does, yeah, it does reach out to vehicles as well. Originally it started with all just trailers, but we added some sections at the last committee meeting that addressed motor vehicles too. We should probably change the heading, amend the heading just a little bit to reflect that.
Okay. And this Jubilee Street parking, or the parking lot that the borough owns, brought this ordinance on, but it also applies to all borough-owned properties and parks. Like, they can't park down at William Street, park a trailer in the parking lot there. It's all borough-owned property, just so you know. So
Yeah, and I'm sorry, because it also, the discussion then changed to community park.
Correct.
And there's some neighbors there that have left their car sit in the same spot for days and days. And so it addresses some of that as well.
Any other questions? This is an ordinance, so it's a roll call vote. Councilwoman McManaman,
Aye.
Councilman Dufresne,
Aye.
Councilman Hart,
Aye.
Councilman Balliet,
Aye.
Councilman Anders,
Aye.
Councilwoman Baumgartner. Oh, I didn't hear you. Did you say aye? Still not hearing you. Okay, she gave a thumbs up for the record. And Councilman Layberg, aye. There are 7 ayes. For some reason, Shanna, you're all right. It doesn't show that you're muted, so can you talk now?
Yeah, when you were wiggling the plug, it looked like we were getting a signal.
All right. Well, that's a 7-0 vote on the ordinance 1210, and we'll have our second reading and second meeting in January. And Shane, you'll make some adjustments on that.
Yeah, I'll amend the heading just a little bit. It doesn't change any of the content in the ordinance.
More reflective of what's in it. All right. Unfinished business part 2. We have nothing items on the agenda, not on the agenda. If anyone has anything to bring forward, now's the time to do it. Hearing none. Mayor's report.
Thank you. I have nothing to report officially this evening. You have my end of the year report on your iPads. And I would like to thank the members of our police department. Through No Shave November, we were able to raise $1,000. So we were able to help 5 families, hopefully have a merrier Christmas. So other than that, I'll report progress.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And that's always nice that they do that every year. It seems like, was that a little bigger this year than last?
No, it was actually less than what we had gotten last year. Yeah, it's through November and December.
Still a nice thing that they do. All right, committee reports. Public Works Committee, Chairman Anders.
Yes, nothing for official action this evening. However, we did, as you'll see in our notes, we did go over our committee goals from last year and working towards this year. And I also wanted to report that we did some crack sealing this year over in the Country Heights area, and it went well. So something new that we can work on for the future for some of the roads. With that, I will report progress.
Thank you, Chairman Anders. It wasn't just this Country Heights area, it was the whole actual Country Heights that was done. They did the whole section. So, Health, Sanitation, and Codes Committee, Chairman Balliet.
Thank you, Mr. President. Tonight we're going to have 2 different presentations for some projects that are going to need some approval or denial. We're going to start out with the Emmaus Commerce Center, and I think George Reitz is on the call. Also, our engineer is. And with that being said, I'd like to also thank George for being extremely patient through the planning process, and I'd also like to thank our Planning Commission for not recommending the project for approval with a bunch of outstanding conditions. I think he's met all of his conditions and stuff. Shane's gonna share his screen, and then I think our engineer and George will present this project.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to thank you for hearing us and for proceeding. I was a little surprised to get this quick of a response after our planning commission meeting, and I thank you. We have Paul from Liberty online as well. He's our engineer that's been retained, as well as Roger Peros from Skepton Construction, who will be the builder of choice on the project.
Okay, George, who did you say it was? Paul?
Paul is, I forget, how do you pronounce your last name, Paul?
Wezak?
Yeah, I got him.
Okay, there you
I
go.
got him. And
All
then and then Roger, right?
Roger Peros.
Okay, so we got them both.
Okay, good.
All right, so I unmuted both. I told them to turn their video on.
If I could ask, if you are talking about anything that Shane can put on the screen for everyone to view at the same time, I would appreciate if you would tell him which drawing or what you would run up there, including all the paperwork that we received in our iPad. So with that being said, I don't know who wants to go first.
This is Paul from Liberty Engineering. I can, the drawing Shane has up is fine. It's the project, you saw the project probably a little over a year ago. It was a smaller standalone building. If you're familiar with this property, it has a large 20 some odd foot high mound sitting back behind the existing building. But after you approved our project the last time, it became twofold. It became more cost effective to remove that dirt. But George's business just keeps growing and growing, and he needs to get as much square footage as he can to keep expanding his business, which I think is great for everybody. So we came back in and attacked this thing as a 20,000 square foot building addition onto the existing structure, which about is as big as we can fit back in there. So the idea is to put this 20,000 square foot industrial addition onto the building for him to grow into. It may temporarily be leased to other outside parties, as is the Commerce Center in general, but his goal was eventually probably to grow into it. So we've worked through, with your planning commission, we worked through all the issues. I think we have a couple of conditions left. Mainly it's, we're waiting for our NPDS permit and a sewer planning module. So we're waiting on the state DEP, which is, as Jeff can actually attest to, is rather difficult in the COVID times. They really aren't working. They don't work in their office, so things have slowed down there. But we're hoping to get our permits shortly in the next month or two. And the goal would be to start moving dirt out of here to get this down to a level pad so that they can put this addition up by spring.
Okay. Does anyone else have anything to add to this or any questions from Borough Council?
Mr. President, it's Jeff Dimick. Very briefly, the waivers and the conditions are virtually the same as this plan was approved before. Now we have this, we'll call it an addition instead of a standalone building. There really is very little change from a legal standpoint. And accordingly, as long as the conditions that are set forth in the approval are met, I see no problem with it.
So, Mr. Solicitor, at this time, what do we actually need to approve? Just the final plan?
It will be a preliminary final plan.
Preliminary / final plan. Chairman Bally, would you like to make that motion?
Yes, sir. I would like to put that in the form of a motion to approve resolution 2020-50 for the Emmaus Commerce Center.
There's a motion by Councilman Bally. Is there a second? Councilwoman McManaman. Any more discussion?
Just one question. Looking at the reviewing the 11/18/2020 zoning response. So if I heard correctly, almost all of those there's a couple exceptions that are still not complete from that list. Is that correct?
There's the two outside agencies, which is sewage facilities planning and the NPDS permit. And I believe Hanover Engineering left the design of the retaining wall carried on there. And we just requested that we'll submit a design for the retaining wall, a building permit, There's so many different types of retaining walls. They want a chance to pick the one that works best for them instead of us locking it in right at this moment.
So is that motion contingent upon those being completed, correct?
Yes, Mr. Anders, the resolution reflects that in the conditions.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Question. Anybody else? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed say no. Shannon, I heard you that time, so I don't know what you did, but I can hear you.
I unplugged my headphones, so they must not work anymore.
Okay. All right.
Well, we thank everybody for their patience with our project, and have a nice holiday.
Well, thank you for expanding in
Thank
the
you.
borough. We appreciate it. We need that. So
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Merry
Appreciate it
Christmas.
all. Merry
George.
Christmas all.
Christmas.
all right. Chairman Balliet, you have another project?
Yes, Mr. President. We have Steve Solaski's project Cascade 2, and I believe our engineer is going to give us the rundown on this project. And Mr. Pepe, can you share your screen?
Yep, give me just a second here.
Sure.
Okay, so Mr. Slasky, unfortunately, and I forwarded an email to you earlier today, Mr. Slasky has another commitment today, but I asked our engineer to explain essentially what's going on with this project.
This is a 1.1 acre vacant parcel of land that has frontage on Tillman Street. It's near DeLong Avenue. If you're familiar with that area. And what Mr. Slasky is proposing is basically 14 units, which would be located in basically 2 buildings. You can see they look like townhouse style buildings. Those are 2-story buildings. And our main concern on this project was stormwater management. They were able to get through the Conservation District with their approvals. They were able to get through the Lehigh Valley Planning Commission with an approval there as well. We have thoroughly vetted the project, and the Planning Commission at their December 10th meeting made a recommendation of approval with conditions to council, along with some waiver requests.
Do we know what those waiver requests are?
Yes, I believe they're contained right in the resolution.
They're on page 2, item 2.
Oh, the actual resolution, Mr. Solicitor?
Yes, on the resolution.
Okay.
And perhaps the engineer might want to explain the differential between a rational method for estimating stormwater rather than the soils cover complex method. I have an idea of it, but I am not a total expert on that.
They're simply put, they are 2 hydrologic models that engineers use to determine runoff rates and volumes for stormwater. Rational method is more appropriate in this case because it's only about an acre watershed. The SCS method is typically used when you get into watersheds that are much larger, like 20, 25, 50 acre watersheds. If you try to apply the SCS method to this project, it would be inappropriate. You'd end up with overstated runoff rates and volumes. It's just not accurate.
Well, thank you.
Does anybody else have any questions to bring forward? So this is also being approved through a resolution.
It is.
And Chairman Ballet, would you like to make that motion?
Yes, sir. I'd like to make the motion to approve resolution 2020-51.
For Cascades 2 project. Motion
Correct.
by Councilman Balliet, seconded by, I'm not able to see council members at this point.
I'll make a second.
Motion by Councilwoman McManaman. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Council. Our next meeting will be December 30th at 4:30. And with that, I will report progress.
Thank you. Parks and Recreation Committee Chairwoman Baumgartner.
I have nothing for official action. I just wanted to comment that the next public meeting for the Recreation Open Space Trails study will be January 28th. So mark your calendars. Please encourage everyone to attend. Our next Parks and Recreation meeting will be January 5th, 2021 at 4:45 via Zoom. Thank you. Progress.
With all the trying to get the word out there, what kind of attendance did you have for your last? I think you had 2 in 1 week, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. Those were the park specific. So there's specific meetings for Burrowline Park and for Lionsfield in particular. And then there are general meetings for the overarching study. And Burrowline Park was the first one. That was December 8th. And that was poorly attended. And we got the word out. And December 9th, we had, I don't know, around 20 maybe,
Okay.
I want to say. It was much, much better for sure. But we definitely want to get as much input as possible.
Kind of attendance we got. So I know we were trying to get people involved in that. So, all right. Progress then?
Yes, progress. Thank you.
Thank you. Public Safety Committee Chairman Hart.
Thank you, Mr. President. As you can see with 7 action items this evening, I'm going to take great umbrage to Mr. Pepe's comment last week that this committee does not have a lot of activity. All right, first thing.
And I said that knowing that he has more activity than even budget and finance today.
All right. Over the past year, via input from the animal control officer and from the police department, there was concerns expressed over the care we were receiving under contract with the sanctuary hospital animal control contract that we had. This resulted in us looking at another option, and in doing so, we came up with the Lehigh County Humane Society, and we vetted them and decided that it would be beneficial to the borough to enter into contract with the Lehigh County Humane Society. That contract is in your packet for approval. We made some changes to it at the last meeting. So I'll put that in the form of a motion that we approve the contract from the Lehigh County Humane Society.
Motion by Councilman Hart. Is there a second? Councilman Balliet. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes.
Okay, as a result of impending retirements and vacancies in our police department, we have before us this evening a recommendation for the conditional employment of 3 new police officers. Before presenting their names for consideration, we have several housekeeping items to take care of in order to proceed with their offer of employment. The first is approving Lehigh Valley Eye Care Practice to conduct appropriate eye examination on the candidates. We've used them in the past. I'll put that in the form of a motion to approve them to do the eye examinations.
Motion by Councilman Hart. Is there a second? Councilman Dufresne. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes.
The second agency needed is the appointment of East Penn Medical Practice. That's the Bob Barnes practice that we've been using for a number of years to conduct the physical examination on the officers. I'll put that in the form of a motion.
Motion by Councilman Hart, seconded by Councilwoman McManaman. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes.
The final agency approval for screening purposes is the appointment of Dr. John Francis of Montgomery County to conduct required psychological examinations on the proposed candidates. This is a new practitioner that we're using. We've had some backups with the practice that we're using here in the Lehigh Valley, actually over in Bethlehem. And we became aware of this practice that does police officers in Montgomery County. So I'll put that in the form of a motion.
Motion by Councilman Hart. Is there a second? Councilman Balliet? Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Those say no. There are 7 ayes.
Okay, finally, the Civil Service Commission provided the top 5 candidates after their screening, which included written, oral, and interview screening. A reminder to council, veterans receive extra points for their service. All of the candidates were acceptable candidates to us. We've chosen 3 to present to the council. The first individual is a gentleman by the name of Francis Hurd. Mr. Hurd is from the Lafayette Hill area. He graduated from Norristown High School. He immediately was in the United States Army in the 82nd Airborne Division. He returned from service in October of 2019. He was hired and is presently working as a deputy sheriff with the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office and is presently employed there. So I'll make a recommendation to appoint Mr. Hurd with these stipulations. By the way, these stipulations will apply to all of the candidates, so I won't be repeating them with every motion.
So for the following 2, you can just say with the stipulations mentioned before.
Motion to offer conditional offer of employment to Francis Hurd for the position of police officer for the borough, contingent upon the following: must successfully pass a physical examination in accordance with the Municipal Police Officers Education and Training Commission, MOTEC, must successfully pass a psychological examination in accordance with MOTEC, must successfully pass an eye exam in accordance with MOTEC standards, must successfully complete all the requirements of Pennsylvania Act 120 certification required by MOTEC, and finally, must successfully complete a 1-year term of probation with the Emmaus Police Department. I'll put that in form of motion.
Motion by Councilman Hart. Is there a second? Councilman Dufresne, any discussion or questions? I have one question. Do we still have the distance requirement? They have to live within so many miles as the crow flies. What is it for? Is it 20? What sticks in my head? Is it still 20?
20 miles, yes.
Is 20, mentioned Norristown High School and Lafayette down in that area. Is that somewhere within 20 miles?
It is presently living in Lafayette Hill, PA.
I don't think it is.
I mean, if you went to Norristown, I'm assuming it's south of us somewhere.
You got to meet that requirement.
Did anyone bother to check to see if that's within 20 miles as the crow flies?
They've all been informed. They've all been vetted with the police department. They've all been informed the same.
It's in the contract that they must.
No, I understand it's in the contract, but do we know if it is or not?
No, we haven't.
If it isn't, he has to move, correct?
We understand that. Yep.
Okay,
He's been made aware of that.
but we don't know if he's actually past 20 miles.
Well, Mr. President, I would suggest to you that, the offer of employment will cause him to understand the requirements, and you'd have to abide by those
So at
requirements.
what point does that kick in?
Well, we interviewed, if you recall, ambulance chiefs that were way outside the area, including Kuwait. It was understood that individual would have to live in the
No,
area.
I'm asking at what point, like if we hire him off this list, at what point does he have to move?
They have a year. They have 1 year,
Yes.
and it's
That's all
1
I-
year.
and by the way, it's about 38 miles, Brent.
Okay, that's all I need to know. I'm not trying to be a jerk or anything. I just,
No.
I know
Well,
we
they
have that rule and I
they
didn't
have
know if anyone, actually brought it up. So,
Yeah, they have 1 year, and he lives 38 miles.
all right, that's all I have. Anybody else have anything? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes.
Our second candidate is Brandon Allen Smith. Mr. Smith is from Walnut Fork. He graduated from Northern Lehigh High School. was in the United States Marines for 4 years. Upon honorable discharge, he re-enlisted with the United States Marine Corps Reserves. With the aforementioned requirements, I would, in addition to those requirements, he also has to complete the academy training at the Allentown Academy. I make that in the form of a motion.
Motion by Councilman Hart. Is there a second? Councilman Balliet, any discussion? Questions? I just want to say that these two candidates that were the first two that we're voting on, I'm excited because they are veterans, and I know what kind of workers they can become, being a veteran myself, and just knowing that they can be excellent quality candidates. So I'm excited about that. With that being said,
Is it one
all
of the
those, oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Is it one of the 3 Act 120 certified already?
Yes, that is the last one.
The first one,
No, Mr. Hurd is also Act 120.
Oh, yes. Okay. Okay.
Mr.
Anybody
Smith.
else? All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes.
finally, Michael Savage. Mr. Savage is currently living in Shavertown. He graduated from the Public Academy in Lackawanna College and has his Act 120 certification. With the aforementioned stipulation, I recommend him for appointment.
Motion by Councilman Hart, seconded by Councilman Dufresne. Any questions or discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes.
Thank you. If there aren't any further questions, our next meeting is January 11th at 9:15 a.m. It will be a Zoom meeting. I report progress.
Thank you. Madam Mayor, is there an anticipated date for swearing in?
Hopefully the first meeting of January for the 2. Mr. Smith will not be sworn in until he graduates the academy in
Okay.
June.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right. Next is General Administration Committee. That's myself. We interviewed Ann Zayats at our last committee meeting, and it was a recommendation by a 3-0 vote to approve her for the library board. We do not have the term on here. Shane, the term for Ann Zayats?
1/1 of 23.
All right, so would somebody like to put that in a form of a motion?
I will.
Councilwoman Baumgartner, second by Councilman Anders. She's well qualified for this, and we're excited about her joining the board. And we've been getting some very good quality people on that board, so it's very exciting where that library is going. So, with that being said, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes. Thank you. We have the disposal of municipal records. It's a resolution 2020-45. Do I need to read them, Shane?
No, that's enough, I think.
Just basically purging some of our records that are over the length of required holding on times. Is that correct, Shane?
Yeah, again, it comes back to cleaning house and getting rid of things that shouldn't be held on to.
Okay. With that being said, would somebody like to make a motion to approve 2020-45, the resolution for disposal of municipal records? Councilman Hart, seconded by, I guess you're all excited to get rid of the records, huh? Councilwoman Baumgartner. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed say no. There are 7 ayes. Thank you. We took care of ordinance 1210, and we have a set of meeting minutes notes. If anybody has any questions with regards to those. If not, our next committee meeting is until January 14th, 9 a.m. And we'll see if it's by Zoom by then or not, because I guess this lockdown is till early January. We'll see where we're at then.
Well, yeah, no matter what, we'll offer it on Zoom, but you might physically be back in the building.
Okay. So I report progress. Budget and Finance Committee, Chairman Dufresne.
Thank you, Mr. President. And Shane, by the way, I have more to go over than Mr. Hart did. So.
No, you're right. You do have it by 1 or 2. Yeah, you're right.
So I want to start with Resolution 2020-41, which is a resolution of the Council of the Borough of Emmaus, Lega County, Pennsylvania, amending the schedule of fees and charges for permits and services. And I'd like to put that in the form of a motion. So it's just some of our basic fees for, ambulance service and a lot of the other miscellaneous fees inside the borough.
Motion by Councilman Dufresne, seconded by Councilman Hart. These are our standard fees that we review every year, and once in a while we increase some of them to be in line with other communities and to also cover our costs. So with that being said, anyone else have any questions, discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes.
Next, we have Resolution 2020-42, which is adopting the 2021 tax, water, and sewer rates. So just a couple of things to go over here. The real estate tax rates have not increased from the prior year, neither have the water or sewer rates. And none of our other general taxes or services here that are a part of this resolution has increased from 2020. So again, I would like to, say thank you to Shane and, all of our employees in Emmaus. When COVID hit in March, everybody had to adjust and, take some measures to ensure, that your finances and stuff were secure, for the rest of the year and going forward. And due to the swift actions that we took to make sure we protected the borough's finances and tried to minimize as much impact financially on our residents as possible, and the way that our public works, first responders, and the rest of our team at the borough handled those decisions that were made and took on more responsibility internally here and gave up a lot of things in their budget that was approved previously. We were able to keep the rates the same as 2021. So Shane, would you like to add any higher level information here?
No, well, first of all, Mr. Dufresne, thank you for that. I think that encapsulates why we're able to carry over the money that we are, that will get us through next fiscal year, barring, any other catastrophe that might happen. Hopefully we're going to be turning the corner here, but yeah, so this budget, this budget includes a lot, which we'll get into in a little bit, but really, it really comes down to exactly what Mr. Dufresne said, and that was, the team effort that it took, a lot of hard decisions, a lot of decisions that, we haven't ever had to make in the last 50 years in this borough in terms of, cutting staffing, cutting major projects, cutting costs. But I think they were necessary cuts. And I think you're seeing a lot of municipalities were late to the game, and that's why you're seeing tax increases from them. I think we recognized it, right out of the gate, and we started making the necessary hard decisions early. And I really think that's what is allowing us to be able to do this, because I would tell you that had we not done that, we would be with everybody else right now.
Thank you, Shane. So with that, I'll make a motion for Resolution 2020-42, a resolution of the Council of the Borough of Emmaus, Lega County, Pennsylvania, fixing the tax rate for the year 2021, as well as the water and sewer rates for the year 2021.
Motion by Councilman Dufresne. Is there a second? Councilman Hart. Any discussion? I would like to also say thank you to Shane, our department heads, our treasurer. The Budget and Finance Committee did a little extra work than usual in years past. Usually it was just the committee, council as a whole that did all the work, but because of some of the decisions we made, we did a little extra legwork on the Budget and Finance Committee, and I just want to thank everyone for their input. We had our debates as we always do, and everybody puts their input in, and we vote, and we finalize a budget, and it is very nice not to have any increases. It's been a while since this borough passed a budget without any tax increase, so it's nice that we can do it in a year where some people just don't have the luxury of a job right now because of the situation. So anyhow, thank you everyone, and everyone did a good job. As Shane, you know how much we appreciate all the legwork you put in. Budget time, sometimes you're putting 80 hours in a week, and everyone knows that, and we appreciate that. So
Thank you.
with that being said, everyone in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes.
Thank you. Next, we have Resolution 2020-43, establishing refuse collection and compost site assessment fees in the Borough of Emmaus, Lega County, Pennsylvania for the calendar year 2021. This is the same as previous. We did not have an increase in our refuse rates either for 2021. So I'll put that in the form of a motion.
Motion by Councilman Dufresne, seconded by Councilman Hart. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed say no. 7 ayes.
Next, we have Resolution 2020-44. So this is the resolution adopting the budget. So Shane, correct me if I'm wrong, since there are no tax increases, we adopt this now through resolution this year, correct?
That's correct.
So I want to make a motion to approve Resolution 2020-44, a resolution adopting the budget of the Borough of Emmaus for the 2021 fiscal year and appropriating from fund equities, revenues, and other financing sources available for the year 2021 for the specific purposes set forth therein.
Ooh, got technical there. All right. Motion by Councilman Dufresne, seconded by Councilman Hart. Any discussion on the budget?
Shane, what color is our budget book going to be this year?
Probably yellow.
Yellow again.
I don't know. What's the color of COVID? Red?
Yeah.
Wow, that scares me. I was thinking like you, Brent. I was thinking of a COVID color. That scares
Oh. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
me. Aye.
Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes.
All right, so next we have the business privilege, the Berkheimer business privilege tax agreement here. So we talked a little bit about this. Currently, the tax collector for us collects this. Our tax collector collects this, and for 2021, the Budget and Finance Committee has done some, research, and we're recommending that Berkheimer actually collects this tax for us in 2021. They do have a lot of experience collecting business privilege tax for a lot of municipalities in Pennsylvania. And, we think it's a lower cost, as we said before, so we're actually saving money here. And we just think the whole process will be smoother from a collection viewpoint and from our residents or business owners in Pennsylvania. We just think it'll be a much more streamlined process here because of, this is what Berkheimer does as part of their business here. So you can see the agreement in there. So Shane, I guess first we need to make Resolution 2020-46, and we need to appoint Berkheimer as our business privilege tax collector for 2021.
Is it actual resolution, Shane, or is it just a motion?
You're doing 2020-46, the appointment, and then what we'll do is we'll have you do a motion to approve the agreement, and then we'll go down to the other 2 resolutions.
Okay, I see it on the second page. It's not on the actual agenda. Okay, so there's a motion to approve Resolution 2020-46. Is there a second? Councilman Hart? Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes.
Okay, related to the business privilege tax agreement, we need to put in a motion to approve Resolution 2020-47, and it's a confidentiality resolution for the business privilege tax, and this is per requirements according to Berkheimer, the tax collector.
There's a motion by Councilman Dufresne. Is there a second? Councilman Anders? All those in favor, or any discussion, I'm sorry. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes.
Next, we have Resolution 2020-48. It's a tax hearing appointment of Berkheimer. So we're appointing Berkheimer as a tax hearing officer with this resolution.
Motion by Councilman Dufresne. Is there a second? Councilman Balliet. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes. Sometimes I think you guys just go into zombie zone when I ask for a second. I look at all the pictures. I was like, nobody's moving.
Poor Terry's raised her hand almost every time, and
Bye-bye.
yeah.
Oh,
Chris,
she has a few more syllables in heart, so maybe that has something to do with it.
Chris, we gotta approve the
ACH.
actual agreement as well.
Okay, and then the ACH too, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so then I make a motion to approve the business privilege tax agreement that is attached to your binders there, that appoints Berkheimer as our collector.
The motion by Councilman Dufresne, seconded by Councilwoman McManaman. That was good. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes.
All right, and the last one for this is to approve the fees for Berkheimer and the revenue for Emmaus to be done through the ACH authorization with our bank account. So I'll put that in the form of a motion.
Motion by Councilman Dufresne, seconded by Councilwoman Baumgartner. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Bye.
Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes.
Okay, now on to typical.
Home stretch?
What's that? Yep, home stretch here. So resolution 2020-49, resolved by the Borough Council to authorize payment of the December 21st, 2020 bill list as follows. The bill list, $235,011.03. Payroll number 26, $158,224.26. Payroll taxes, $51,423.08, for a total of $444,658.37 done this 21st of December 2020. Put that in form of a motion.
Motion by Councilman Dufresne. Is there a second? Councilman Hart. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Actually,
Councilman Anders.
one question for Shane. The Entertainment Services Group, is that for the council chambers for the our visual setup, and is that done now?
It is nearing completion,
Okay, thank you.
but yeah, that is what it is.
Anybody else? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. 7 ayes.
Okay, so you can see the significant revenue and expenses for the first half of December in there, and you can also see the committee notes. The one positive, and there's a lot of positives in the notes, but the one big positive is we did receive a grant for body cameras for our police department. Shane, you want to say anything about that?
Yeah. So in the budget for next year, we budgeted for body cameras for the police. That's one of our capital expenses. And our police department, Sergeant Hampshire, applied for a grant. And we just received notification the other day that although we didn't get it out of one pot of funding, we did get it out of another pot of funding. So we will be getting a very sizable grant to help assist with the purchase of the cameras. We just have to wait until April to make the purchase, which, is not a problem. So that's exciting. Very happy about that. Obviously, it's a big relief as far as, what that cost is.
Thank you, Shane. And in this day and age, it's probably going to be a good thing for the Borough of Emmaus. So look forward to that. Next meeting for us is January 14th, 2021 at 11 a.m. I report progress.
Thank you, Councilman Dufresne. Good job. You had a lot there. Community Relations Planning and Development Committee Chairwoman McManaman.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm going the opposite end of the spectrum. I have nothing to report, nothing for official attention tonight. And next year, I promise you, this committee is going to have a lot going on, and I'm going to need everybody's input, and it will be very exciting for next year. So our next meeting is January 11th at 4:30 p.m., and I will report progress.
Thank you. junior council members report. Junior Councilman Hausman.
Hi. I don't have as much as Dufresne, but not as little as Terry. So I'm excited because I have some good news. The theater department released their own play, and it's available right now. If you go on the Emmaus High School website, you will find a YouTube video, and you can actually view the play. It's awesome that what they're doing right now. We have news on graduation. It's scheduled for Sunday, June 13th, 2021 at 1 p.m. at the PPL Center. And the Emmaus School District has released more information about COVID-19 cases in the district, and that is also available on their website. With that, I'll report progress if there's no questions.
Any questions for Jonas? Thank you, Jonas. You have one set of the Emmaus Public Library report, and that is it for there. Personal appeals part 2. If anyone has a personal appeal, Shane will unmute our virtual guests. And if you have an appeal, please state your name and where you're from, and you have 5 minutes for your appeal. Are they unmuted, Shane?
They are.
Anybody have an appeal?
Jesse O'Donnell, I have an appeal.
Mrs. O'Donnell, you have.
Hold on a second. Let me, I think I have to hit her video because we took it back off. So hold on.
Yeah. It's more of a question.
Okay.
It's the Cascades 2 that you just approved.
Yes.
I'd like to know where the stormwater for that is going to be routed, considering the problem I have that is quite significant at this point. And now we're adding another 1 acre full of impervious and stormwater. And where is that going to go? Is that going to be something I also need to be concerned with?
If I could ask our engineer, Mr. You covered some of that during, before we approved that resolution. Do you have the answer for that?
Okay. So the stormwater for that particular project discharges in the northern direction and ultimately ends up in the system in DeLong Avenue.
So it goes right to the stormwater drains in DeLong Avenue that would then route down to Pennsylvania Avenue, down to the library, but not into the Arch Street Basin?
That's correct.
I don't think it goes into the street basin.
That's correct. It's not directed to the basin.
Thank you.
Is that
That's
all?
all I have.
Is that Donald?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else with a public appeal? Are they still unmuted, Shane?
Yeah, they definitely should be.
Okay. All right.
Let
Hearing
me hit it one more time,
All right.
just in case.
Anybody else have a public appeal at this time? State your name and where you're from, and you have 5 minutes for your appeal. All right, hearing that, you can mute them again, Shane.
Okay, so give me just a second. Okay.
All right. Borough Manager's report.
Yeah, so just a couple things. I do want to briefly go over some of the highlights of the budget since we didn't do that because Chris had 20 items to be voted on here. But I was asked to just hit some things about highlights on the budget. So yeah, we are very proud of the fact that we're able to go a year without raising taxes, sewer rates, water rates, and refuse, especially given the type of year that we went through. The good news though is that the 2021 budget focuses a lot around infrastructure. I would say that was probably the theme of the 2021 budget, was trying to hit a lot of the infrastructure issues that we're dealing with. And I think there are a lot of healthy debates at our budget workshops. But some of the funding that we looked at, first of all, the money from the sale of 33 East Minor Street, budget and finance recommended to council. and council made the decision that we would earmark that money towards remodeling the current buildings. So, we are funding the architect. We're in that process right now. There will be a public piece of that process, obviously, as some options and plans get firmed up. And those remodeling efforts will start this year. We're also looking at some capital equipment. We are going to be purchasing the fire apparatus that we've been saving several years for, police cars, some public works equipment, including a front end loader. But then the rest of the concentration is on infrastructure. We're looking at some MS4 stuff. And the big one is trying to hit this I&I issue. And council spent a lot of time talking about, how to do it and not just spend $100,000 that's not getting us anywhere. So in the budget, council decided to approve going after, a $4 million loan and hopefully some grants to try to attack at least a third of the I&I issues in the pipes. As the estimation was 12 point some million dollars, I think, to reline all the mains, but it doesn't include the laterals. So we are concentrating on infrastructure. The $4 million wasn't an arbitrary number. What that number represents is that's about, the payment would be right about where our residents are paying for that capital infrastructure fund. That's in their bill. So, the loan payment would be covered through that. As you heard, the body camera grant, some of the necessary technology that we need for public works operations is in there. And then hiring the positions that we've let sit vacant, throughout the course of the last year because, we essentially froze hiring, we laid people off, we furloughed people. But getting back on track so that we can stop eating overtime in the police department and, accomplishing the goals that we set forth in public works, as we're understaffed there and getting back up to, the right staffing levels. That's all part of it. We're also continuing with our 2 studies in the Parks and Recreation, as they're both, the Parks grant in particular is funded, through grant money. Or the park study, is funded through grant money. So we're also going through that. I can tell you that we have a lot on the table this year, a lot going on. We have to rewrite that zoning ordinance that's funded to hire a consultant. The architect work, the park study, the pool study, all that stuff is going to keep you guys. I would say you're going to be hopping all year long this year. And I appreciate the fact that you really took a good hard look at trying to fund as much infrastructure as you could, without too much of the what we'll call the foo-foo type of things that we concentrate on sometimes. I think that's in a nutshell the budget. I mean, obviously it's a large budget, but I think it's a good balance of needs that we have in our departments. I think you guys did a great job of helping me and our department managers focus on what those real needs are, and we got rid of the wants in the department. So I would say that's it in a nutshell. Other than that, have a Merry Christmas. Normally, Brent, you would tell us I'll meet you down at Volpe's afterwards, but I don't think that's happening tonight. But I do want to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas, and I think I'll see a couple of you in a committee meeting next week, but other than that, I'm not sure I'll see most of you until the new year. So enjoy your holiday, sitting at home and doing whatever it is you don't normally do on Christmas and New Year's. But I can tell you that my kids and family have made the most of it, and I'm hoping that yours is too.
Thank you, Shane. Appreciate it. But out of everything you just said there, the only thing that sticks in my head is foo-foo. What is that?
That would be the argument from councilmen in the past.
That's what sticks in my head is foo-foo.
That would be the argument from councilmen in the past that we should spend $12,000 painting the bricks red on the triangle rather than buying a pickup truck.
All right.
That's foo-foo.
You keep saying that. And that's one thing that I brought up, but that was a maintenance thing, not a thing that was.
Hey, so you're not the council member that I was picking on.
But I asked those same questions way back when. But for me, it was a maintenance thing. I didn't know if they deteriorated if you didn't do that. So anyhow, that was covered. Moving on to President's business, I just want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas. It's been a rough year, and as everyone knows, you find out awfully quick when times like these happen. Family is everything. So enjoy your family over the holidays, and I wish everyone a Happy New Year, healthy, prosperous, and let's just get back to normal. All right. I mean, sooner or later. Spring sounds good to me. Let's spring into a normal life. That would be nice, wouldn't it, guys?
Yeah.
It would.
With that, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn. Motion by Councilman Balliet, seconded by, I'm looking at you, Terry. All those in favor say aye.
Okay.
Those opposed say no. There's 7 ayes. Meeting adjourned at 8:29. Thank you, everyone, for a good year, despite everything we went through. So thank you.